Night everyone, and welcome back to the Nocturnal Corner with Bat. And today I thought I would try to dip my toes in the update that just released. I haven't really got the opportunity to get into it, and I was hoping to make an update video, so I'm a little late to the punch, but that's mainly because I've been having to do both of my jobs in one day, which really sucks, so it's been taking up all my time. However, I thought I would be better late than never and just give my opinion on the update that just released, Foxy's Secrets. So, if you're just listening in your car or whatever, feel free to just hear me out and I'll tell you what's going on if you already missed it. I do apologize if you hear a fan or anything, but the only way I can do this is I have some free time in my car right now. So, let's dive in and see all the changes that were made in the last update. So going through it, we got, except the new game event, Foxy Secrets, the ability to call an artillery strike on your enemies on the fortress map. A new temporary mission, important balance tweaks, and other changes, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's just a quick summary. And talking about the artillery strike, I'm not sure if I can show the YouTube video on that, because I'm not sure if there's any copyright. I'm still, I'm new to this. But I was watching it. Basically, you drive up to this trailer like you see in the PvE modes, and you just activate a terminal, and now the military trucks actually have a purpose on the map, to where they're just basically bombarding the hell out of, which looks like it's primarily the center where the blown up castle is, which in my opinion I think is pretty badass. It sounds pretty cool. I unfortunately haven't got to see it yet, which I'm a little disappointed about. But I find it a little funny because I was actually talking to my clan leader about, dang, I wish they would do more interactives with the maps. Like, what if they had player-controlled traps instead of just, hot water that heats up your car, or acid, or fall off a cliff, and, then 2 days later they came out with this, and I'm like, oh, well, called it. Guess Gaijin is actually listening to me through my phone after all. So going past that, we're going down to the Foxy Secrets events, which is going to be another mini battle pass. It's basically going to be the same thing, to where you start getting levels, you start getting I believe it's a special weapon, and you can use that special weapon to basically unlock, well, not unlock, but acquire certain weapons and whatnot. However, I did manage to take a peek at it before I went to work, and it's another battle pass that I'm a little disappointed about, because yet again, you need a weapon that if you don't have any blueprints for, or if you don't have the coins, you're probably going to have a hard time doing anything with this battle pass. Unless you just specifically want the Thresher or something. So that's pretty lame, and the weapon that I am talking about now is the trombone. And I was actually kind of excited, because I really wanted, for whatever reason, I wanted 8 or 6 upgraded trombones just to throw on my car and just see what it would be like to be a fire missile driving around the map. So I'm a little disappointed by that. And it even sucks more because they got the legendary weapons in there, which I believe one of them is the Griffin Cabin, you got the Amamore, and I believe the Vindicator machine gun. And I can't get any of them because you need the damn trombone. And to get even one, you need to have at least 2 trombones, so that way you can upgrade it, and then you get all the Threshers during the battle pass. So that sucks. I also noticed, I believe, is the Vindicator, you need to have 5 upgraded trombones. So you need at least 10 trombones to get 1 upgraded Vindicator, which, yeah, that sucks. I don't know what they're thinking with this. You could at least have it alternate. So say you get one thing, right? So you level up, and every other level, when you finish the battle pass, you get this, you get that, you get this, you get that, you get this, you get that, and then that way you can accumulate and then have those parts, so that way you can actually get those. And I get they're trying to do this so you're spending coin or money or something, so that way you can buy them off the market, but it is personally just ridiculous. I do not like it. I think that's sad. And the only people that are going to get this are people that have a lot of money or people that are just filled with uranium. So I personally am not a fan. And it's going to basically be just like the other ones, where you're going to get old stickers, old decor. I don't really think there's anything new in this one. It's just going to be parts from the old battle passes. So let's go down. Let's see, upgraded parts. So this is just basically talking about how many coins you can get. You can get up to 600 coins. You get a bunch of stickers, paints, and it looks like there's going to be just a new hologram, which I believe is like a bouncy ball. Other than that, most of it is going to be the same. The main part you're going to be getting with every level is going to be the Guardian. So the Guardian, when you upgrade that one, you can get Threshers, and Threshers, you can get everything else. However, it still goes back to you need the trombone to really get any of the good stuff. Alright, now coming down further, we got 2 new game modes. Again, I don't have any part in this. I've been working, so I can't give my own personal opinion on this, but I'm sure there's other YouTubers, probably JB Ryder or Cardboard Ninja. You could probably check them out and you get a better description than what I can supply. And it looks like they're going to be having an operation for control and slaughter mode. Control, you respawn. Unlike the familiar control, in the new mission, it is not possible to win only by destroying all the enemies due to the respawns after destruction. The victory is awarded to the team that will control 2 out of 3 bases. The waiting team to respawn increases each time your car is destroyed. The mission is played on 3 maps: Orbital, Station, Ship Graveyard, and Chemical Plant. Okay, so that actually sounds new. It doesn't... Kinda, because, you know, that sounds a little bit like a regular mission mixed with a brawl, but at the same time, I am glad that they're adding new missions. It sucks that I think it's just temporary. Yeah, I don't want temporary missions. I want to, like, do some different things to get my scrap and my batteries and whatnot. So, I hope that this is something that kind of can stay, because that actually sounds like a cool concept. Because personally, I don't know why they didn't add it, like, just a mode with no bases, and it's the first one to kill all the other team. I don't understand why that was never a mode. Maybe just to make it quicker, because I mean, it's 5 minutes. Should be able to finish that. But you got one that's going to be, you got to control at least 2 of the 3 bases to win, and you're just going to be responding. The next mode is going to be the slaughter mode. Has been temporarily added to the assault, encounter, and control modes. Mission rotation, we remind that slaughter is a team confrontation where you need to score a certain number of points faster than the opposing team. If the required number of points is not scored within the allotted time, the victory is awarded to the team with the most points. So I'm guessing this is just basically team deathmatch. I'm going to take a guess that you're going to be responding in this mode as well, and this is going to be more about how many points you get through kills, kind of like the tank events that they had. What is it, like Mayhem? So that's probably what that's going to be, but regular mission, which, you know, I can't complain about that one either. Both of those new modes sound alright. Like, they sound alright with me. You know, being able to respond, not just one death, go home. Even though I like the idea of one death, go home, you know, it's an interesting mode, but it's nice to actually see some variety coming in here. Alright, so I'm going to do a quick read of whatever the raids thing is now. Now during raids, as well as on the results screen, the amount of damage dealt by players is displayed, and the leader who dealt the biggest amount of damage is additionally highlighted. Also, the results screens now display the amount of damage that was inflicted on player's armored card. Okay, so this is just like, if you're somebody that likes reading the stats, you can more see the performance that you did in a raid. That's about it. Okay, going down. Maps. Looks like only one change to the map, and that's going to be the artillery thing I mentioned. Thanks to the clever use of artillery, you now have the opportunity to turn the tide of the battle on the map. Now a special terminal is available on the map, and its activation will launch artillery shells at your enemies. Damage from such projectiles will only be dealt to players of the opposing team. Artillery support can be called once every 20 seconds. That is cool. I'm not gonna lie. I do think that makes sense, that you don't want to kill your own team. At the same time, I feel like, I don't know. I guess I'm thinking more realistically. Like, if you really want to be team, but at the same time, I don't know if it's how it is on PC. I think on PC you can actually talk to your teammates. You can't do that on PlayStation unless you're in a party. So I guess it makes sense that if you go and bombard the map, you don't want to kill your team. But it would be interesting if the activated hazards would also hurt your team. I don't know. Maybe I get why that would be bad, because I'm sure there'd be a lot of trolls that would just be like, oh, my whole team's on the point, let me just nuke them. But yeah, this is probably a safe bet to do that. But I personally thought, I knew that was how it is, but in my head, I'm just thinking, what if there was actually an activation trap that could both kill your team and the enemy? Like, I think that would be kind of cool. I'm going to make a prediction about this one, though. And it's about Old Town. And I feel like if this becomes a hit, or, you know, if they want to continue doing the activations, I'm going to take a solid guess here that the Old Town map is going to get it next because of all the anti-aircraft turrets that are surrounding the circle. I'm taking that guess. If I get it right, man, I better get some subscribers. All right, so now we're going down the parts. The ghost cabin, apparently, which I don't. Basically, the little holes that are meant for wheels, you can now put wheels. I think I was trying to do that with another vehicle, actually. It was either the Humpback or the Jawbreaker. I was like, this is a slot, which, yeah, you can put a part in there, but it's so obviously for fucking wheels. But you can't fit a wheel in there. So, I didn't get that. I was like, in real life, that's the spot that goes with the wheel, man. Why can't I put a damn wheel in there? So, you know what? I think that's good. Not really a buff or anything. Well, I guess that's really a buff, because now you can conceal your wheel more a little bit, but that's just something a little extra. The bumpers, I think a lot of people are happy about this. And I don't mean the actual rework. I know nobody actually wanted this because, you know, Melee. If you were here before and you remember the old Melee meta, I know it was really annoying when they just kind of smacked you when you were dead. It was kind of like having, if you didn't have Fire Dog, you had a Melee dog. But if I remember correctly, it was 65%, but they changed it to just 80. So, you know, that's good. I don't want my bumpers to just completely suck, because the whole point of them is they're basically just a big slab of armor that you want to protect your most vital areas. Usually you put them in the front to help protect your hover catchers, or you put them over like your cabin, or you put them over your explosive bits. So, you know, I'm glad they didn't really nerf them too hard, but I guess I kind of understand if it was like really strong against melee and you want to kind of have a nice balance with all your weapons. But I'm actually going to get to a point on that later on. But for now, I'm going to leave that one the way it is. Reduce the resistance to melee damage for the impact bumper from 80% to 70%. So, main bumpers are all going to get 80%. Except for the impact bumper. Reduced. The impact bumper is actually going to 70%. Okay. All turret cannons from Little Boy 6-pound to ZS 52 Mastodon. Okay, so that's basically turret cannons are getting 14 shells, and the fixed gun cannons are getting 12 shells. I think that's good, because you don't want to be too dependent on an ammo box. If you're playing lower power score or something, you know, you don't want to just slap an ammo box on there and then it's just out there. But at the same time, I get why you need the ammo boxes. It's going to add more play, because usually those cannons Well, specifically, the turrets, I get why they get more ammo because they're more about health, while the fixed cannons are more about distance shooting and a little bit more penetration. However, what I'm thinking about is the old the old Mammoth, where when that thing used to hit at 2, it was like 1,300 damage every time. With that one, I felt like if we still had that super strong Mammoth, the super strong cannons, like I remember I used to play the Fat Boy all the time, and that thing was just like, hell yeah! That thing was tough. That thing did not come off, man. I'm telling you. That thing felt like a cannon, man. And then they nerfed it. That sucked. I'm just having like a... Man, I miss my old Fat Mans. But, no, it's good that you're being a little less dependent on ammo boxes, because cannons, they still don't feel like they're hitting hard enough to want to have a nerf like that. And what I mean by that is, if the gun isn't going to hit that hard, then you shouldn't have the nerf of having an explosive bit on you. But then again, if the gun is actually hitting pretty strong and, you know, it's a bit harder of a counter, then it makes sense to have that nerf on it, because then you got to worry about that area, and it gives the opponent who might have a weaker weapon more of an opportunity to take you out. So it's kind of that trade-off. So if you have like that big mastodon, then you're going to have to worry about your ammo boxes, and with those ammo boxes, the other player has a chance to blow something up. At the same time, if you just put the ammo boxes outside your car and the player blows those up, there goes all your ammo, which I believe is what happens now, where if you lose your ammo box, you lose all that extra ammo and you're back down to whatever you got. So that's just my 2 cents. That's just my 2 cents on that. Prosecutor, Executioner. Prosecutor is going up to 25% penetration. Executioner is going up to 30%. So that's good, because their ability basically is about penetration. And if the weapon is all about penetration, why do they have so much worse penetration compared to the other cannons? It almost seems like... It seems like what they did is more of, you're just going to do damage to that certain area, and it's not even... It kind of makes it to where it's not even a penetrating weapon anymore. It's more of, you're just going to be doing a little bit more extra damage to that certain area of the build type of weapon. So having it 25% to 30%, while the other cannons are like, 80% or something, which in turn makes it that those other cannons have better penetration than this one, unless the 2 pins don't count, and then it activates that part. So it's like basically 3 areas of 100% damage, and then it just goes straight to 30%. Then I can see that it has that king penetration versus the other cannons. But from what I read and from what I heard, it's going in, and then when it hits that 0%, that's when the cannon explodes. Or not the cannon, but that's when the shell explodes. So it just sounds like the perk for these 2 weapons is mainly ballistic damage, and then explodes, just taking off that front area or wherever you're actually hitting. So this will give it a bit more penetration to somewhat match the normal frontal cannons. So going down a little bit more. Oh, I didn't even notice that. Executioner is also getting a durability increase. That's decent. They were a little easy to take off. For whatever reason, it didn't really feel like they had a lot of durability. This one I'm actually happy about. The Elephant, damage increased by 50%, penetration to 100%, and improved accuracy. This was one of my personal favorite turreted cannons, because It just felt different. It just felt different. It felt more of a combination of the two. You know what I mean? It felt in between both cannons. It felt like a turret mixed with a frontal. It was like a unique brand of cannon on its own. And I'm kind of glad that it's getting buffed, because the last time I played with it, it just felt weak. It felt like it was not performing how I thought it should. And I wasn't even like high power score, and I had 2 of them, and it felt like every time I hit, it felt like I wasn't doing anything. So I'm actually happy that they're getting buffed, because it definitely felt like they needed something, because they felt underpowered compared to other cannons and weapons in the game at the time. The Typhoon and Tsunami blast damage increased by 9%, penetration up to 75%. So that's going to make them a little bit better. You're going to have that penetration. This is kind of what I meant right here. It seems like they're almost on equal footing with the Executioner and Prosecutor, as in they get all this penetration to a point that you almost have a similar perk to what the Executioner and the other one is giving you. But I guess that also depends how the reduction of damage goes per part. I think that's something I might need to look at again. But it does kind of feel like they're trying to make it so when you go legendary, you're not losing a whole lot of that penetration that the bottom 2 frontal cannons were giving you, since you're getting 75%. So you're still hitting the front one for 100, and then 75, and then so on. So you're still getting a decent amount of penetration. So that way when you upgrade to the legendary, you're getting that legendary perk and somewhat of the perk of the other frontal cannons. Or that's just kind of my thought process on here. It's kind of like thinking about the elephant, though, where it has 100%, is making me wonder how deep can you actually get with the elephant before it doesn't, before the shell explodes. The Mastodon. Why do I keep saying Mastodon? The Mammoth. 23% damage increase. A direct hit now increases the cannon's damage by 10% for 10 seconds instead of 20% before. So you're constantly now getting the damage as if you had 1 stack of the previous, up to 30%. Okay, so that, I am going to say that is a buff, unless you were a constant Mammoth player and you were always hitting your then it might be a nerf. This one is kind of a tougher argument, because I don't agree that they should have nerfed the perk that much, just because when you're hitting for that 20% more, well, because that's going to be 10% of that 23% plus whatever, so it might balance it out a little bit. But in my thinking, because I have no idea if they actually test what they do before they apply it, because a lot of the times it seems like they don't. No offense, Gaijin, but I think for me, I would have allowed players to play with that extra 23% just to see how heavy hitting it was, and if the perk needed, really needed that, downgrade, then I would have done it. But it makes sense that the perk is getting a little, it's not even little, it's like half of the perk, just because you want to counteract that 23% damage increase. But it makes sense because, they turn slow unless you have a oppressor engine. So they are a little slow in turning, but you can still, there's things that you can really counteract that now with the legs, omni wheels, and the hovers. So maybe that's not even really a factor anymore unless you're like trying to be fast on wheels. So it's mainly you gotta, once you master the bullet drop, it's not going to be that big of a deal. This might just be a better version of it, because it does go down, the perk goes down like decently quick. It's not like too quick, like 10 seconds. I don't know if that's the same. It wasn't like too quick, so you can still fire in there before you lose your whole 3 stacks. But if you did miss, you lost all 3 stacks. So this is going to be a buff on your first initial shot, but it might be a nerf on your second and third shot if you're making consistent hits. But this might be a better alternative and might actually convince players to give cannons a chance, specifically if they want the mammoth. So that way, if they're missing shots, it's buffed, so that way they can still get some damage output of it. Because it's not too easy to actually hit somebody with the mammoth or any turret cannon besides the elephant, since it does have a much slower velocity and a much higher bullet drop. So this might overall be a better version, because it's going to be harder. It is harder to hit them with turret cannons, and because it's pretty damn easy to lose the perk. Next up is going to be the cricket. Rate of fire increased by 28% and improved accuracy. The cricket's perk was definitely crap a lot of the times, unless you were like really just putting a lot of spread reduce. So like you're gonna use the Toronto cabin, and you're gonna put on like Jade and get that extra 10%. Just really trying to make this thing into a sniper, because, well, it was and it wasn't. Like, if you got hit by a cricket, it still hurt. Like, just one missile hurt. So you know what? I'm going to take that back. I'm going to take that back. This is just improving the perk. And it's greatly improving the cricket itself. It's not the old cricket. I don't think it'll ever be like the old cricket. That thing was broken. But I still miss the old cricket, though. Still going to talk about that one when I get back to the bottom of this, though. But having that rate of fire increase is definitely going to help. It's definitely going to help the cricket a lot, because it does shoot that like when they nerfed the cricket, that hurt the cricket badly, because as soon as you see that first rocket hits you, it wasn't too hard. No, sorry. It wasn't too easy to dodge the second one. But when you got hit by the first one, you could definitely dodge the second, third, fourth, and fifth. Versus the old cricket, to where you got hit, and then it was like the fourth and fifth one, you might be able to dodge it. Maybe. Because of the consistency. So this is actually going to help improve it. And with the perk and the accuracy, it's definitely going to make the cricket a beast. Like, this is going to be a lot more beastly of a weapon, and I'm definitely positive that you're going to be seeing this weapon a lot more now. Especially with that distance firing. I believe it's every 100 meters, like the damage goes up. That's going to be great. That's going to be great, actually. Especially when it's distance and you're having that fire. That fire rate is going to be absolutely amazing, just like I said, to where you can get more shots in before the enemy can run away, because hovers, legs, it was mainly like tracks. Tracks were the main one that would have a hard time dodging anything. But at the same time, well, no, not even, because the cricket did so much damage to tracks, like, yeah, it'd just basically be tracks that couldn't really dodge anything. The barrier, I'm really glad that it's getting nerfed. I was seeing that one way too much in Clan Wars, especially Leviathan Clan Wars, to where it was just barrier hell. And it was just like, you would see Leviathans just barrier. It was like, oh, Jesus. I didn't know I was playing Barrier Wars. So I'm glad the barrier is getting nerfed. I don't think the overall damage reduction, or, the shield health, I don't really think that needed to be nerfed. It was mainly exactly what they are nerfing right now, which is the deployment of them. It just felt like it was too much. And that's just from my experience of playing the game. It just felt like the barrier was too much, especially if the enemy had 2 barriers and you're just like constantly shooting the thing, and then barrier up, oh, I broke it, up, barrier up, oh, I broke it, up, barrier up. Like, it wasn't great. It was just kind of, it was more frustrating. Those are definitely one of those frustrating moments. The Sinus, Prometheus, and the Helios, they are all getting 30% penetration. So I believe I made a comment on that it makes sense that they have penetration, like more penetration than a machine gun, because it is a plasma ball, and since it is a hot projectile, like it's not even like a bullet to where it's metal and it's making that contact, and it could just like smash, fall off, whatever, if you're thinking realistically. This is a dense, like super hot material that definitely should hit and have some type of penetration going through, kind of like a blowtorch. So that makes sense to me. Sinus is getting 10% damage increase, while the Helios is getting 12% damage increase. I'm not mad at it, especially with the first one, the special one. It definitely felt underwhelming. Hopefully that boosts it, because you never see that weapon. You never see it. It just didn't feel good to use. It didn't feel like it was rewarding at all to constantly shoot an enemy. It definitely feels like it needs this. It definitely needs a buff. And the Helios kind of felt the same. It felt like they were a bit easy to shoot off versus other machine guns and shotguns. And, the big brick builds. Yeah, if you get all your shots in, you're hurting their health. But when the enemies are like, 4,000 to 5,000, and you're only doing like 100 per shot, and they hit you and all your armor's gone, well, armor goes into your durability, so you just lost like 1,000 durability because of his cannon shots. So you know what? I can't even say I'm mad at it. Their penetration ability turned out to be too weak, and the projectile stopped its flight after colliding with the first part in its path. Also, the damage of the Sinus and the Helios didn't correspond to their rarity. I agree with that, because they feel very, very weak versus other weapons. They did feel very, very weak. AC-80 Steel Wind, the one that I don't agree with. I do not think they needed their damage reduction. I think that they were fine. Honestly, if you weren't using the Catalina cabin, they felt all right. The Catalina cabin just busts everything like greatly. So I personally, I don't think they needed to be nerfed. I kind of disagree with this. I think this is the only one I disagree with, because it's like, if you have 2 of them, it does decent damage. It's really, for me, it felt like it was only worth using with 3, but you could work with 2. Like, I have a build in my YouTube thing, I think it was the SWAF emergency. It just felt a little underwhelming with 2, but it was alright. Maybe 2 at lower power score, but higher power score definitely felt like you needed 3. And I just don't think it really needed a nerf. It just felt like if you were making your shots, then you're doing good. It just felt like it was really strong if you just used a Catalina cabin. That's just my opinion, because the Steel Wind was one of my main weapons, and I fought Steel Winds and whatnot, and it just didn't feel like it was really kicking my butt, and it didn't really feel like I was kicking their butt until I had like 10 charges with the Catalina. Actually, before I move on to the Cyclone, I'm going to say one thing about the Steel Wind. I don't like the perk for it. I'm sure a lot of people have said this, and I'm going to explain this because unless you're using 2 at lower power score, and you have like the Ghost Cabin or the Beholder, it felt underwhelming for this weapon. Do I think a ranged weapon should have that perk? Yes. I don't think it would be beneficial for a close range weapon. But I feel like if you're going to have a weapon with that type of perk, I think it needed to be a weapon of 4 energy. That way you're more inclined to use something that is going to have an invisibility module. Such as, like I said, the Beholder or the Chameleon. That's just my opinion. I feel like if you're going to have a perk for something like that, it definitely needed to be a 4 energy weapon. I think maybe a weaker autocannon or a somewhat stronger machine gun. Like, you know, something with a little bit of distance. I don't think as slow fire rate as a cannon, but yeah, definitely like a type of like machine gun to, like, I can see it working better with the Cyclone. In all honesty, I can see that perk working better with the Cyclone. But at the same time, it still kind of hits with the Cyclone that the Cyclone, I believe, is still 5 energy. And the biggest issue I have with it is I think it should be a 4 energy type of weapon. Just so that you're more inclined to use an invisibility module and you can still have other type of modules. That's just my opinion. I think the Stillwind should have something more for range. Like some type of ranged complement to it. Just as the Cyclone. Well, you know what? The Cyclone, I don't even think it has a perk. In all honesty, the Cyclone's perk is crap. It is straight crap. It's not a perk. It is just a description of the weapon. Especially with this buff. And now I'm going to go on to the Cyclone. With this buff, the initial rate of fire increased by 25%. The maximum rate of fire increased by 14%. Meaning the more you shoot, it's going to have a little bit faster fire rate. Except this time, it feels like you're getting up there pretty quick. Even if it says 3 to 4 seconds, it feels like you're almost already there right in the start. It definitely doesn't feel like it has a perk. Not anymore. Because if it was continuous fire, just like how every perk, you can keep going with it, this one doesn't feel accurate to the weapon. It just feels like a description. Oh, the weapon will increase fire over time. Oh, okay, that's cool. But this doesn't feel like an upgraded version of the Whirl. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it feels like it was like how the when they started putting perks on everything, how the Fat Man didn't have a perk, it was just a cannon. That's how it feels. Like when everything had like descriptions, like when the weapons had like descriptions with a little bit of lore to it, like how it would say the Hammerfall was like an old mortar. If you remember that, the description was like, the Hammerfall is actually a mortar system made into a shotgun by the Lunatics. That's what it feels like. I think with that big shield that it has in the front, that like, oh, you know what? That's what I think it should be. The perk of the Cyclone should be a weaker version of the Bastion. That's what I think the Cyclone perk should be. Because they're adding health. They're trying to show that it's a big gun that needs some decent durability. Why is it that it has this big shield and the shield means nothing? Like, I get the Mammoth. Like, the Mammoth is the same way, but I get why they're stacking damage on the Mammoth, because it feels like it needs it. But in this case, I think the perk should be like 25% or 15% damage reduction to all weapons besides energy. A weaker version of the Bastion. That's, like, if you disagree with me, let me know, but that would be a perk that makes sense. Because guess what you can barely do with the Cyclone? Cover it up in armor. So guess where the armor is? The big ass shield in the front. Tell me if I'm wrong. Or, you know what? Be like a game, Guns Up. Guns Up. The Riot guys. They're carrying their big shields right in front of them, and they don't take any damage until the shield breaks. So damage, the Cyclone shield falls off. Now the Cyclone is just taking all the damage in. That would be a cool perk. That would be a solid perk. The shield, I think the shield needs to be the weapons perk. I'm glad that they increased the fire rate of the weapon because now it feels more like a whirl upgrade. And I'm glad they're putting durability on it because it does feel like it's meant for a bit of... Actually, no, the Cyclone's pretty accurate, so it is. It does feel like more like the whirl where you can use it at close, medium, or long range. And I think they need to add a third... Like, hear me out. I think they need to add a third autocannon because if you really look at it, there is 3 categories of autocannon. You have the tall boy that shoots at distance with low fire rate but high damage. Still win. You have the whirl, a bit tanky. You know, it's like, I think it's going to be the tankiest one. Double barrel, shoots decently fast, is going to deal some decent damage over time. Cyclone. And guess what the other one is going to be? The smaller machine gun looking one called the Jewel. Fast firing autocannon. That's got to be the third legendary autocannon that's going to be coming out. I am calling it now. Tell me if I'm wrong. You know there is definitely 3 categories of autocannon. I'm saying it. Fix the perk on the Steel Wind. Put on a different weapon. Give the Cyclone a perk finally. And then add that fucking third autocannon. I want to see them because I am an autocannon user if I'm not setting people on fire. So I want to see that. I am passionate about that and I want to see it. You better make that damn Cyclone shield a perk, damn it. Swear. I kind of feel like I should skip this one. My Dracos. It's only 6%. It's only 6%. Oh. Draco damage reduction. 6%. It's only 6%. It's only 6%. Firebug damage reduction, 8%. I have no idea how I feel about it because I don't have any relics. Damn. I actually kind of wanted the Firebug too. No, honestly, this makes sense. It makes sense. There's so many damn fire dogs. There is so many damn fire dogs. At least on PlayStation. Again, I am a PlayStation user, so all of my talks here are going to be mainly my views on PlayStation, except for the things where I'm talking about the perks, where I think those perks definitely needed a fix. Capcan, good job, dogs. You got a buff. Capcan, now you can actually chase them. This one makes a little bit of sense to me because I'm trying to see from both sides. I am a dog user, but at the same time, I do try to deviate. That's the main reason why I've been cycling through the epic weapons, is because it gets so boring. And I don't understand meta players, because it just gets so boring using the same weapon, man. I love Dracos, but Draco 24/7? Damn. Every time I see the Scorpion, bro, use something else, man. Damn. But I'm glad that that's getting nerfed, just because I feel like that should be more of a trapment weapon. You should be able to put that down, and if somebody's coming at you, you're going to entrap them. It shouldn't be you just drive by, or somebody's chasing you, and it just grabs them, and that's it. I feel like that's lame. I just feel like that's too strong. If you're in a fight, or you're in a run, I don't think the Capcan should just grab them, done. Just grab them, done. And then you just get away. No, to me, there was absolutely nothing fun about that. It was more frustrating. It was seriously? Now I'm stuck to the ground for 10 seconds? Just because I was following some dude and he just deploys a Capcan and instantly grabs me? Nah, that was lame. That was absolutely lame. So I'm glad that got nerfed. Screw the Capcan. Aspect. I agree and disagree. The Aspect, I love the look of it because I believe it is an American Crow system. I actually, when I went to work the other day, I saw the aspect in real life as it drove right by me. You literally was the turret with the gun blocked with a sheet. And I was like, oh yeah, there it goes. There's the aspect, baby. Like, I love the look of the aspect. That classic American 50 cal. Love it. Love the Crow system. I'm not sure if it's actually the Crow system. I know there's different ones. I'm pretty sure this is the Crow. But I love the look of it. I love that it is the American weapon. But it definitely was underwhelming. Especially compared to the Punisher. Which obviously the Punisher is better. But it wasn't hitting, bro. Like, you had to like dun, 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 and then like play with it right at the end just so you can maximize damage, so you can compare to anything. And this is the reason why I say I agree and disagree. I agree that it needs this 23% damage because it did not compare to the Nuthong or the Punisher. Because the legendaries are supposed to compete with the relics. Obviously the relics are better, but if you don't have relics, what do you got? Legendaries. But I disagree that the perk needed a nerf. At least test the aspect, or let us play with it with the perk, so that way we can see if it compares. Because the aspect, I believe, is one that is going to be more towards radiators and wanting to keep that damage up, versus the Nuthong, where you want to put coolers so that way you always hit all the way up, so that way you can get that perk back, get that perk back. And I feel like that's the difference between the two, is one is radiator, one is cooler. So I think since you're going to be playing with this one, like this one feels like it's going to be a little bit more skill with the perk, because you're going to have to overheat your weapon. I think they should have left it 60% for now. I don't think they should have nerfed it, just because I want this weapon to compare to the other machine guns. Now, do I think machine guns need a nerf? Absolutely not. You can still get torn up by shotguns, you can still get torn up by fire dogs, and you can still get torn up by autocannons. So that's saying that is why I'm also glad that the cannons are getting buffed, because I want them to perform like that. Actually, I'm not even, before I go down there, I'm going to go on the rant that I was talking about, and I hate the nerf campaign that they did. They should have never done it. They should have not went and nerf. Now there's so many guns that they could have fixed by just raising the power score instead of nerfing them. So, you don't want them to play in lower power score in Seal Club? Hey, guess what you could do? Raise the power score. Because honestly, a lot of those weapons didn't need nerfs like that, because they were performing decently at the high power score that they were meant to be at. Obviously, they're kicking butt at lower power score because people are assholes and they want a Seal Club for free fuel. But should they have nerfed them? Such as, should they have nerfed the Caucasus to nothing? Absolutely not. Should they have nerfed the clarinet tow missile to absolutely nothing? Hell no. They even made a video where they were saying the clarinet tow is pointless. What? Why? Why would you do that? Fix that. I used to love the clarinet tow, even if I got my ass kicked. I had a delivery truck build where I was literally a delivery truck like from Amazon with a tow missile saying, "Here comes my package, bitch. Hot delivery up your ass." But now I can't do that because the clarinet tow is a piece of crap. And the whole point of the Caucasus is so you could use the clarinet tow missile without issue. Obviously, you exploited it, and this is why I think they need to have a legendary version of the Caucasus, which should be the pill system. I can't remember what it's called. I used to know what it was called. I'll have to look it up later, but it's basically that half pill with the minigun that you would see on the sides of ships. And this would make sense with the lore because of all the ships and everything that you see scattered around from all the lack of water. It would be obvious if they would take guns from the ships and slap them on their car, which proof they already did, because if you actually look up what the whirl and the whirlwind is, they are actually autocannons that were on the sides of ships. So it would make sense. And that legendary should have the old perk of the Caucasus to where it defends you. That would make sense. However, raise the power score. Raise the power score. Don't nerf it into the dirt. Stop nerfing everything into the dirt. It doesn't make sense. Why'd you put this weapon in the game to begin with if you're going to nerf it into the dirt? I get players hate it, but they hate it because it's so strong in the beginning, so you give it a little swipe, little tweaks here and there, so that way you fix it. But you don't just like nerf it to where it can't turn no more. You don't just nerf it to where its range sucks. You don't just nerf it to where it does no damage because you're afraid people are going to use it at low power score. Make it so it's so high power score that if they want to use this weapon in 5K, they're going in there with 2 wheels in a cabin. So when another player just comes in there and he dodges the missile because the dude can't do nothing now, he's just like, oh, he's dead. That's what you get for being a SEAL Club, bitch. Fuck you. And then just drive off beeping his goddamn horn. Just like that, because I am in my car. That's my opinion. I don't know why they ain't doing that. Pulsar. Change the weapons perk. Pulsar now deals 30% more damage to modules. I like it. Well, why'd you take away the other perk? If you had the other perk and this, I think it would have been solid. I think people would have used the pulsar more. And the reason for that is it's building, blast, damage, boom, hitting modules. Building, blast, damage, boom, hitting modules. It would make sense. To me, that would make total sense. It would make the pulsar so much more of a wanted weapon. Because the pulsar, when it hits, it didn't really feel like it was doing too much damage. And then here, you're going to have to be even more accurate with it, because now you have to use like Falcon and whatever the hell the epic scope is called, to where you're going to trying to scorpion their modules. But the thing is, it's a big plasma ball that it's going to hit something and blow up. So if you have spaced armor, you're going to have to get through all my armor, sucker. But if it had that blast damage, so building, it's getting up there. Hit your spaced armor, but the damage is still going. Boom, 30% right on your generator. Makes sense. It makes sense to me. Parser. Durability reduced from 320 to 290. Again, I've only seen this weapon once in like a month. Did it hurt? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you got to be accurate. I think they're nerfing this one too hard at this point. Because I literally was playing with the arguments and I popped them off in one shot. And he was missing. So you got to be accurate. And it has to charge up. So he can't just go boom, boom, boom. He has to boom. Boom. Because these charge up weapons, they have to reload before they can charge up. And then you have to be accurate. And now it has no durability. And I believe they nerfed the damage too. That's what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Why? Like, it must be people are using that on PC or Xbox and just murking the hell out of everybody. That must be what it is. That must be what it is. But if you disagree with me on that one, I don't think this weapon needs nerfs. I think it needs power score, and I think it needs a buff. Honestly. Scorpion. This is the only weapon, is it? Besides the barrier, the cap can, Scorpion. Yeah. I think it's the only weapon in the game I think needs nerfed. I hate fighting scorpions. I hate seeing scorpions all the time. I hate trying to use a different weapon and the scorpion just go pew, pew, pew. Well, better back out and hope I don't play with scorpions. Oh, Clan Wars. What does everybody got? Oh, Scorpion. Scorpion. And you know what that causes? You know what that causes? Shotgun, fire dog. Shotgun, fire dog. Fire dog. Because everybody's gonna hate scorpions. Now everybody's gonna play fire dog because they're gonna try to take him out because they're tired of his bullshit. He's that fucking asshole neighbor who tells you not to get their car wet. Don't get my fucking driveway wet, bitch. I'll whoop your ass and call the cops. Bitch, fuck you. Is that annoying asshole that everybody in the neighborhood hates, so they all do something that you hate so they can get back at them. Honestly, you get nerfed. You, Scorpion, fuck you. Damage reduced as parts are penetrated is now 6% faster. Does that mean when I get shot, it's going to not just instantly blow up my generator? You know, it says that it's not supposed to penetrate through cabins, but I'm still wondering how they shoot me in the face and it blows up my generator, Gaijin. Reloading time increased from 5 seconds to 5.5 seconds. Change that shit to 7 seconds. If that thing is going to instantly pop my gun off, fuck that weapon. Increases dependence of accuracy on movement speed. Well, you know, I can't be too mad at that one. That's a good one. So that way they're not just, strafing, shoot, and then you have to, try to shoot them at the same time. Because Scorpion is, that thing is just taking out frontal cannons like no tomorrow. That thing is taking out auto cannons like it's no tomorrow. So literally the only counters that it has, it is just dominating. So the only real counter is everybody's going to have to run a fire dog. It's sad. It is really sad when the enemy has one Scorpion, and because of that one Scorpion, that whole other team has to play as another build just to beat that one build. Just because Scorpions are so goddamn strong. And it's actually kind of ridiculous because autocannons can fight frontal cannons. Autocannons and frontal cannons can fight the cricket. Or, missiles. But missiles, frontal cannons, autocannons, etc., anything with range cannot compare to the Scorpion. So I think the Scorpion was a terrible idea. And I know it's one of the oldest relics to where it might have been a great idea when the game first came out, but it's just so blatantly obvious that the Scorpion is extremely overpowered. I would rather fight dogs than Scorpion users. Bring in all the goddamn fire dogs, bro. I literally was playing as a hover and I killed them with the machine guns. But you know what you can't do that to? The Scorpion. Or at least on PlayStation, it just sucks fighting them. It's just so not fun fighting the Scorpion. And with how thin it is, you think that it wouldn't have as much armor as it does too, because it feels like the Scorpion takes a beating before that thing pops off. But I digress, man. I always hated the Scorpion. I just can't stand fighting them anymore just because they just feel so broken. Harvester, change the perk. Basically, it changed it to the old perk. Now damage is increased by 30% for every second of contact with the enemy. The effect stacks up to 7 times. Gradually resets every second when the weapon doesn't deal damage. Yeah, it's basically the old perk. I noticed that they didn't give it the damage right off the bat. If I remember correctly, in the patch notes, it said that it was going to be 20-something% damage increase right away. And then I think it was 20% damage over time. So I think they changed it to just 30% over time. I mean, I think this is going to make it better. Because as soon as they, take off your spark or whatever, it wasn't doing any, real damage. You were like really dependent on having a weakness. So, you know what? I can't be too mad at that. I'm a little worried how it's going to be for hovers. But at the same time, hovers are a little dominant. Hovers and Omni wheels are a little dominant. The new legs kind of like added a new thing. Wheels, I really feel like wheels need some type of buff because it feels like they can't compare to these other like Omni wheels and whatnot. Yes, they can get to a faster speed, but the strafing and maneuverability of the legs, hovers, and Omni wheels is kind of outshining the wheels. So so in my opinion, I think that maybe the wheels need to go like a little bit faster or have a little bit more durability than these parts, but I think they already do, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like enough. If anything, I think a saving grace is if there was some way to put some tighter controls on it, so that way it's not just instantly drifting, and have it in a way that you can turn corners better. So kind of like a little bit of tweak, so that way if you do like close turns, you have more control, but at the same time, if you really need to make a U-turn or whatever, the wheels will be able to perform like better driving. I want it to feel better, if that makes sense. I think that would really greatly benefit. Added articles from projectile, in-game guide, range is called effective range. Wait, what? Because the scale reflects. I think these are just like slight tweaks. These are just like slight tweaks to the interface. They added a new song for it. Apparently there's some new sounds for the plasma weapons. Reworked the sound balance in favor of greater comfort during the game. So that's just improved sounds, miscellaneous. I wonder what the Wasp looks like now. Apparently they updated the appearance of it. Added special visual effect that it comes when it's negative. So now you're gonna have a special effect on your vehicle when you get hit by a negative effect. Added visual effects of low durability to active melee weapons. I guess they're going to be sparking a little bit more. Updated suspension models for a number of wheels. Okay, fix the bug. And then these are just like, if you want to read through it, just some bug fixes that are going on. Just scroll down really slow for you. I wonder what that means. Fix the paint direction for dead man, cockpit, and machinist cabins. Apparently they improved the environmental objects on the maps, power plant and cursed mines. Apparently there was some type of aiming glitch that would dim the screens. I haven't seen that one. And there you go. You should be able to read all that. I just went quiet so you can read that if you wanted to read it. Overall, I think this is a good update. I think most of these things needed fix, especially the cannons, because the cannons didn't feel like they were really performing against these other weapons. The aspect definitely needed a fix. The plasma guns definitely needed a fix. The Capcan, barrier, and the Scorpion, my current 3 hated things in the game, I am glad all of them got nerfed. I'm glad the Cyclone got buffed. It needed it, but it needs a new perk. And the Stillwind also needs a new perk, and I'm sad to see that it got damage reduction, because I really don't think it needed it when I was playing with it. The Pulsar, I think they need to combine both of the perks, because if you're going to be doing more damage to modules, it kind of stinks when it just hits something and just blows up right there. That would definitely be something that has a little bit more penetration, and the penetration you could have gotten would have been from blast radius. So out of all, this is mostly a good update. I think there could have been a little bit more. I really want to see the artillery strike, and I really want to see the new missions. I heard so far, from what I've read from getting posts updates, like from the PlayStation app. Apparently people are actually really liking it, so I'm kind of excited to try that myself. Anyway, that was my commentary on the update. If you enjoyed this, please think about leaving a like or subscribe, you know. I really want to start doing this more, and that kind of lets me know that you're enjoying it. I do apologize, I can't show any gameplay or anything. Like I said, I'm doing this in my car, and I just use a little bit of my free time just so I can go over this with you guys and give my point of view from the PlayStation perspective. So, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's bit of commentary. It was nice getting to talk to you all and share my point of view, and I do hope that you guys have a great rest of your night. Take care, guys. Thanks.